And there goes our recording, which is fabulous. Just sharing my screen so that I can explain to you a little bit more about what I'm bringing today. Now, vibrational healing practices have been with us for many years. I'm just figuring out how I actually go to the next slide. There we go. Have been with us for centuries, in fact. And they're based on the underlying belief of a life force. So when I'm talking vibrational medicine, I might be talking energy medicine. And I wonder if those of you that want to type in and join in here might want to give me some examples of what you believe vibrational medicine or energy medicine is. So if I actually won't be able to see things popping up in the chat because now that I'm sharing, the chat isn't visible to me. But for those that want to join in, please do type in your ideas. And I'll give you some examples at the same time. We're talking about things like sound therapy or magnet therapy, homeopathy, acupuncture. The technology of frequency healing has been an underground treatment concept for the last 100 years and is slowly beginning to gain just a little bit more acceptance. So when I talk about scanning the quantum, I wanted to bring you first to two quotes that talk about energy. Nikola Tesla, who back in the 1880s developed the alternating current power system that provides electricity as we have it in homes today. And he pioneered the field of radio communication. He received more than 100 US patents. And he talked about, if you're wanting to find the secrets of the universe, to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, Albert Einstein, most famous for his theory of relativity, E equals mc squared, he said that concerning matter, we have been all wrong. What we've called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no such thing as matter. So why have I called the presentation Scanning the Quantum? Because Albert Einstein, alongside Niels Bohr and Max Planck, the founders of quantum theory, is considered to be the third founder because he received his Nobel Prize in 1921 for the photoelectric effect, where he described light as quanta. Everything is energy. And I think if you're here today, you probably would agree with this. But according to quantum physics, it's light that is the building block of matter. And biphotons are the light of life. They're the essence of a cell, and they're what animate us as humans. So the basic quality of life is energetic, and it's light that holds the key to vibrational healing. So let's have a quick look at the evolution of vibrational healing. I've mentioned Einstein already back in 1905, but I just want to draw your attention to a couple of other figures, some of whom you may have heard of and some of whom you might not. Because what's super interesting about energy modalities or vibrational healing is that they've always been described in the science of their time. So whilst nowadays we might be talking about energy modalities and speaking about light, it's not always been the way. Back in the 1700s, science was just discovering magnetic fields. And so then when we were talking about holding hands over a person's body and feeling the idea of retraction and repulsion, it was called magnetic healing. So for those of you who can type, bearing in mind I can't see what you're putting in, but that might bring to mind a kind of healing that we're familiar with nowadays. So if you want to type in the chat box, feel free to do so. But certainly for me, this idea of hands on or hands together, attraction, repulsion, this reminds me of Reiki healing. I wonder if it's the same for you. So the four people that are in the middle here, we're just going to start up at the top left. This is Dr. Albert Abrams, who originally discovered the principles of frequency healing. In his time, back in 1918, the world was switching from gas to electrification. So he described healing energy as electric current. Once we moved down to Ruth Drown, she was a chiropractor. And back in 1923, she realized that copper wires and electrodes were not necessary for healing. She established the field of radionics. And that was where distance healing became the energy of the day. Now, some of you, because we're talking about vibrational work, may have heard of the third picture here, the gentleman with the microscope. That's Royal Raymond Rife. And he received 14 major awards and developed the Rife frequency generator. Now, his discoveries were made through the frequencies of sound. And Dr. Abrams' discoveries were the frequency of sound, whereas Royal Rife's were the frequencies of light. And what he actually did was isolate a virus that caused cancerous tumors. And then he found a radio wave frequency that killed that virus. He did a pilot study of 16 people who all had advanced cancer, and every single one of them was cured. So this idea of vibrational healing through frequencies has been coming through the ages, back as far as 1930s. And then Dr. Hulda Clark, who is the lady in the photo up there on the top right, she developed an electronic device for scanning the human body called the zapper. And she used it to detect and treat diseases using frequency. So frequency healing has been around for some time. The bottom picture there at the very bottom right of your picture is from 2007, and that's Marcus Schmecker. And he is the gentleman behind the device I'm going to talk more about as we progress through our presentation today. So first, it's important for us to understand that if everything is energy, how energy itself transfers. So over on the left-hand side of the screen, we're looking at waves. And this is how electromagnetic waves move. You can see them, they're showing radio waves, microwaves, infrared, etc., etc. So in electromagnetism, waves are transferred through vibrations of electric and magnetic fields. But if we now move to the picture on the bottom right of the screen, this is where it gets interesting, because now we're talking sound waves and we're talking resonance. And this is the part of vibrational medicine that really captures me and hopefully will get your imagination too. Because if any of you have ever come across this whole idea of a tuning fork, when tuning fork A resonates at a particular note, then tuning fork B, not touching it, will also begin resonating with sympathetic vibrations. So resonance is a phenomenon when the matching vibrations of another object increase the amplitude or the wavelength of that object's oscillations. And this is the foundation of what we call frequency medicine nowadays. So if any of you saw the little video of me talking about Ella Fitzgerald shattering a glass with her voice, this is what we're now talking about, oscillations. Now, you might want to just type in the chat box if you remember the Memorex campaign with Ella Fitzgerald when they were saying, is it Ella singing live or is it Ella recorded on a Memorex tape? Who remembers tape cassettes? I mean, I'm 56, so this was my youth. Exactly, Leslie, I can see you waving. This was my youth too. So what I love about this campaign is that it's really talking about resonance and that idea of how we can actually overload, build those vibrations to such an extent that we can explode, in Ella's case, glass. Or if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, this is music professor Anthony Holland. You may have seen already his TEDx talk from 2013, where he speaks about using oscillating pulsed electric fields to destroy cancer cells and MRSA. So I love this idea that we can use frequency and we can use it to actually use it as almost as frequency warfare, where we're going to amplify, engulf, and disrupt something, or we can use it to diminish, calm, support, nurture, and align, as in frequency healing. So we're going to just do a couple of little resonance tricks together now. Who's ready for a little resonance trick? We don't need anything except ourselves. I'm going to invite you first to place your hand on your forehead. Now, this is a great trick to use in a time of stress. I hope nobody's stressed here this evening. But the problem when we get stressed is that we have that fight or flight response, which sends the blood through your legs and arms, ready for you to fight or run away, whatever it is you're going to have to do. But it also drains the blood from the areas of your body where you might need it most, as in your thoughts, as in your emotions. So when you have your hand to your forehead, you're actually transmitting through your own resonance back to your mind to calm yourself again. So that's our tip and trick number one that's already using resonance. Now, I'm going to remove my hand from my forehead, invite you to do the same if you like, but keeping that hand, we're going to do tip number two. This one is a great one for anxiety and worry and can help to even improve your sleep. Same hand, place it on your heart. And while it's on your heart, I want you to locate the positioning between your fourth and fifth finger and gently tap. So it's placed on your heart and you're tapping in that position between your fourth and fifth fingers. Now, why does this work? Well, you're on the triple heater meridian. We know that meridian lines run through our bodies, and this one runs right up between the fourth and fifth fingers. And for those of you who are loving the fact that I'm making references to a whole load of other healing modalities this evening, the tapping that I'm doing right now brings us to emotional freedom technique, brings back the idea of resonance. And in fact, those of you who are interested in the early medics, that's how they discovered they would tap to see if things were well with your internal organs. So I love the idea that we don't need to do too many complex things to be able to use resonance in our everyday. And in the way that we want to diminish, i.e. calm, support, nurture, and align frequency to help us to operate at our best. That doesn't need to be anything other than yourself. And a little bit of understanding of this underlying energy theory and how it works in the body. But I am, of course, because we're here today, going to talk about some other things too. So let's move on to see how others have gone in to this effect of what's going on with the body. And the body is also the mind, the emotions, the spirit. Has anyone heard of David R. Hawkins' Power versus Force? One of my favorite books, which up on the screen talks about the hidden determinants of human behavior, but it's actually all about consciousness. Now, if you're into the idea of consciousness, and for me, my background is all in consciousness, magic, natural healing. For me, this is critical because he used consciousness sorry, I beg your pardon, he used kinesiology, another wonderful modality, to calibrate consciousness. And in a moment, I'll show you the scale of consciousness that he came up with. But if you look to the right-hand side of the screen, we've got another book by Carolyn McMakin, who's a chiropractor, and she used chiropractic observations to calibrate the effect of microcurrent on a wide range of different illnesses. Now, these can be physical illnesses within the body, things like, as a chiropractor, how your bones and your muscles are responding, but also how your organs are coming together. So she worked on things like endometriosis, she worked on scarring, she worked on the problems with neuropathy that come from situations like diabetes. And she calibrated the microcurrent required for all of these, the microcurrent being the frequency specific for all of these different conditions, and using it over 20 years on her clients, then wrote the book, The Resonance Effect. So I love the fact that what we're doing is we're taking the science and the spirituality and bringing the two together. And if I show you, talking spirituality, that scale that Dr. David R. Hawkins came up with, you will see that his scale goes from 0 to 1,000. It's the central column there with numbers. And he believes that courage is the affirmation that takes us above the line. This is where consciousness of humanity begins to raise. So I love the fact that we've got many different ways to calibrate ourselves as humans, and resonance can help us in all of these areas. As we move forward and go to look at some other energies that you might have come across, who's come across the Schumann resonances, discovered back in the 1950s, layers of frequency out there, which are global electromagnetic resonances that are just generated and excited by lightning discharges. They're out there, formed around the Earth's surface and our ionosphere. And as you can see up there on the screen, as these resonances, which occur naturally, fluctuate, there's a lot of differences that humans are able to experience. And many of us do, because the Schumann resonances and the brain fluctuations are very similar. But I want you to also think about how many times we hear in the moment about what's going on in the field of astrology. It's not just the Earth, but we're talking about the Moon, Venus, Pluto. Then we get into retrogrades, and we get into the pull of the Moon and the tides. And we start talking about all of these different frequencies and naturally occurring phenomena that have effects on us as humans, bringing it right back down to the person-to-person connection of you walking into a room and there's somebody there with whom you resonate or connect, where you feel that you're on the same frequency and you actually feel drawn to that person. And there are others with whom you don't. And for you, the room is lighting up when they're leaving or when you're absenting from them. So I really want you to understand that everything truly is energy. And I want to talk to you now very quickly about Healy, which is the frequency device that I found that I believe is helping us the most with nurturing ourselves, families, in my case, my clients, and generically speaking, humanity. So if you've never seen a Healy, there's a little picture of it there on the screen, and I'm holding mine up as well. And this is a little device, and it reads us in our original blueprint. And we talked about scanning the quantum. Well, that's what the Healy does. It scans and identifies whatever is not in alignment with our soul's essence. So I might sound like I've gone all terribly spiritual upon you, but your soul's essence expresses itself through how you are in your everyday being, your physicality, your mental state, your emotional balance. So what I love is that this device is able to recommend frequency programs that can bring you back into that design that, you know, if you believe in that kind of thing, you were meant to embody. I talk about it bringing us back into whole balance, coherence, and alignment. So what I love is that although some of those people I talked to you about in the history of frequency had lots of queries about their status and even about their mental health as to whether what they were claiming was legal, Healy has already had its legal status confirmed in the European Union. Healy actually has confirmation of that by the FDA, that it is a medical device for the treatment of pain when it comes to chronic pain, fibromyalgia, skeletal and migraine pain, and is used in the supportive treatment of mental health, things like depression, anxiety, and sleep disorders. So when I first was introduced to Healy, that was made very clear to me. This is a medical device and it can be used, FDA approval, for these particular areas. But what I loved once I got to discover the device is everything else it can do. So I wanted to introduce you to those options today, just so that you can see what's out there, what's available. Now, the Healy device, this little personal frequency device, was originally developed by the gentleman I told you about earlier, Marcus Schmeeker, and it was called a time waver machine, and it was only available as a big device that was used in clinical practices. But this is a personal wearable device, and it works in two different ways. Now, I am not a quantum physicist. Unlike Marcus, the person who invented it, I am not a quantum physicist, so I'm going to explain this in a simple fashion. But what, for me, was the fascination is that not only was Marcus a quantum physicist, he also spent 12 years as a Vedic monk. He entered an order to live and to work in the field of spirituality. And it was during a meditation that he was told he had to take the gift of quantum physics and create something to improve and enhance and evolve humanity. And I was like, whoa, that completely blew my mind. So microcurrent is one of the ways that this device works. And what you do is you strap on with bracelets to your wrists. Whoa, there we go. And you connect a wire to the bracelet, which you then connect into the device. You do the same on the other hand, and you form yourself a microcurrent circuit. Why? Well, up here on the screen, it explains that this uses a low voltage pulsating electrical current, which boosts your adenosine triphosphate production. I'm going to call that ATP from now on, because adenosine triphosphate is a huge mouthful. But what microcurrent is able and has been proven to do is to increase by up to 500% your ATP production. Not only that, but also your protein synthesis increases by 70%, and the amino acid transportation by 40 to 50%. So it's working on the voltage of your cellular function. Healthy cells are cells with a good voltage that's working through them. Now, protein synthesis, amino acids, ATP, you might think, well, she's just talking about sports people. And actually, that's true. But these things are required by us all in order to function fully. Now, if you look at Healy, it doesn't just scan you, it also can send you, in the top model, up to 229 different programs. And these programs are divided into 16 different program groups. And I'm going to give you a quick flash of the program groups, just so you can understand a little bit more about the breadth of offering that Healy has in the programs that are available. You can see here, digital nutrition, you can see job and sleep. But if I just move across, the gold cycle programs, the ones that we all begin with when we first have a Healy, there's just 7 programs there, and they're about your personal care. The pure program, the #1 program at the very top, is about your organs of elimination. If your cells can't eliminate correctly, nothing else is going to work efficiently in your body. So you'll notice the word harmonizing coming up a lot in all of these programs. That's because we cannot make medical claims other than the ones already stated in the FDA approval about what it is that balancing means to different parts of your body. But what you can see is where the Healy is able to work. So yes, it does work on fitness and strength. It does work to harmonize sleep. It works on your mental functioning. But it also, when we flip across, you can see how it works on mental balance, on the chakras in your body, if you're into the energetic systems of your body. It works in a variety of different ways to help you, to protect you from your environment, and to give you the possibility to gain more from everything that's going into your body and how it's processing. And I don't just mean how your hormones are processing, how us as females are menstruating, but there are also, as you can see over on the right-hand side, how your stomach, your spleen, how all of your organs are processing everything that's taken into your body. Now, I find this absolutely fascinating because having owned a natural healing centre for 8.5 years and worked with a range of different therapists when I was in Surrey, I know that the way that we approach our health, everything is interconnected. And just because a physical symptom comes up doesn't mean that the issue has a physical beginning. It could have had an emotional, a mental, or even a spiritual origin. And I love the fact that Healy is able to work at all of those levels. Now, if I move just a little bit further in the slides to talk to you about the Healy coil, this is the second way that this device is able to transmit energy from the device, frequency from the device to a human, but not just a human. I use this on animals, I use it on buildings, I use it on groups of people, on teams. But let's just explain a little bit more detail how this works, because this is the distance healing part that we've already mentioned earlier in the presentation. This is the way that Healy does it. It uses an item called the Healy coil. This has a Tesla coil in here. And the Tesla coil, when fixed to the Healy device, whoops, just slips in. This is now no need to connect this to microcurrent, because this is using scalar energy. And those scalar waves are the non-linear, non-Hertzian waves that travel faster than the speed of light and actually are the ones that work in the magnetic field around you. We might know this as the aura. So this is how distance healing works. If anyone has had distance healing, intention plays a huge part. Scalar waves actually move the energy from wherever it is sent to wherever it needs to arrive. So I think this is completely fascinating. I have been using distance healing for years, and now I actually have a device that can do it too, because it can work in the quantum. For me, when I discovered Healy, this was the differentiator. There are other frequency devices out there, but this is the only one that can work in the quantum. To me, that was magnificent. Now, I think it might be a lot more fun, rather than just talking about it, to actually demo it for you. Does that sound pretty cool? So what I'll do is just move this share and open another one where I am going to share from my phone. So technology, just give me a moment, because sharing from the phone requires me doing something a little different, which hopefully I have just done, but we're just going to see if it's going to work. Okay, now I have to just select that on my phone. So it's telling me to, there we go, select Zoom Samantha, I've done it. Look at this, the magic of technology. Now you're all seeing my phone. What you're seeing is the coherence program that I am running on the Mag Healy. This is the second Healy device, and this is running coherence for me so that I coherently present all this information about quantum physics, a phenomenon that I am not a physicist and therefore cannot necessarily explain in detail, but in a fashion that hopefully comes across so that you can understand it. So I'm going to switch this one off in order to open up the other program. And I'm going to come out of here and open up for the personal Healy and show you a quick scanning process. Here we go. Now you can see that I can do this for each and every one of you here tonight. And in fact, I'm offering to do that after this for anybody who wishes to have this done. But because we're in an open forum, I'm going to scan myself, because the stuff that comes up, we might not want to share our personal secrets with everybody. Now, this does that constantly. I'm just going to twiddle my wires, so hopefully it won't do it anymore. There we go. So what I do is I go to resonance and I do new resonance analysis on myself. I'm asking the little Healy, which is sitting right here in front of me. In fact, what I'll do is I'll clip it here so you can see it's going to work in just a minute. It's going to start flashing. Clip it onto my clothing. It is, after all, a personal wearable device. And by the way, if you're asking plenty of lovely questions, Deanie is noting them all down and we are going to answer them at the end in our Q&A session. So I'm going to push all Healy programs and just ask it to analyze me as I connect it up. Remember that I had it connected to the other Healy to start with. I'm now connecting it to the personal wearable device. And then it's going to scan me, and you're going to see right here, right now, in live time, what is recommended for me. The scan is happening, as you can see there on the screen. And what the Healy has told me is that I'm most resonant right now with the chakra programs, the power of 3 programs, and the meridians 2 programs. Now, why is that of massive interest? I've been talking this evening about consciousness. Chakra programs is all about consciousness. The power of 3 programs, it's a 9-week program set. And I ran the last one of the 9-week programs this morning, which is why I'm so resonant with the power of 3 programs at the moment. The Meridians 2 programs, we've been talking meridians this evening. And so what we can do as well is we can check which meridian specifically it thinks I am connecting the most with at the moment. But before I do that, I can immediately vibrate using the coil, using the scalar waves, vibrate the energy. I'm doing it on my computer and it's supposed to be on my phone. The energy of those programs to me right now. So it's 5 programs. It picks out the top 5 programs. You can see them. The other 2 that we couldn't see earlier, Healy Gold Cycle, the self-care programs, and the Healy Job programs, which are all about my mental balance and how I apply myself in my day-to-day work. And I can select the duration of this frequency send. So if I just look here, I can send it for a short time as 1 second, or I can choose to send it for literally 9 hours. We're not going to do that. I'm going to send it real quick. I'm going to send myself 8 seconds just so you can see it happening. And as I start it now, you can see that this is coming through to me right now. I'm receiving that straight away. Now, I did say that what I can do is figure out by specifically choosing Meridians 2, the programs. I told you that they were separated, 229 programs into 16 program groups. So I'm going into the Meridians 2 group and looking what it says about which of those meridians is the one that works, that I've got the most resonance with right now. It's talking about my organs, my hormonal balance, my stomach, my lungs. What did we say earlier about lungs? One of the organs of elimination. Now, I've had an upset tummy today, and between 4 o'clock and jumping on this call, I have been to the bathroom frequently. So it's very interesting to me and also very necessary that I vibrate these to me right now. But I just wanted you to know that it's a little bit magic. It picks up on the things that you don't necessarily want to be sharing on a presentation with all of your other friends, which is why I said I would just scan me for this particular one. I'm going to send myself that real quick so that you can actually see it happening. Now, the other possibility that I have is not to just use the Tesla coil and send myself a very minimal amount of those frequencies. I can go into one of those programs. So if I go back to the history, which takes me back to the scans we've just done, and I go into the meridians that we've just done, and I select the stomach program, it will ask me if I want to run the full program. Now, that would mean that I would then put on my wristbands, connect myself up, and run the full program on microcurrent. So I'm able to do that as well. So I just wanted to show you how it is that we actually do that, how the Healy itself works. And the very first time I was introduced to Healy, this was done for me, and I was 12,000 miles away from the person who was running those scans. And it was as accurate as it is for me right now, sitting here showing it to you. So anybody who wants to get their bioenergetics scan, it's one of the things that we're able to do following today. And I know that Deanie is going to give you all the information as to where you can go. And you can just connect with me and I will do that for you. No charge whatsoever. I just think it's fun to be able to explore. So I'll stop the share on my phone and go back. And is someone else doing my scans? I don't know what that means, but we'll come back to that question later. So it's the first of the comments that I've seen so far. And we'll just come back to the presentation I was showing earlier. So I've shown you these things here now, and I'm not obviously going to go through them again because you've actually seen them. But there is the possibility within Healy to also work on my emotional, oopsie-daisy, you don't actually let me, there we go, move across. So this was a scan I put up here to show you where I did myself last night in case the real live one didn't work. I did one I could show you here as well. So I did a coaching scan on myself yesterday evening of me presenting in a calm and collected manner, coherently explaining the benefits of vibrational medicine and sharing the many benefits which come when scanning the quantum with Healy. And these are the results that I got. So you could see it there if the actual live presentation didn't work. Now, if we were to scan the aura, just be aware that, again, it's the same idea as I was mentioning earlier, that we are not going to connect into that aura that's around you. We're actually giving a measurement of the flow of energy going through your chakras in the quantum field right now. And using conscious intention, I can select and vibrate the exact frequencies to bring my chakras back to balance. So lots of different ways that we can use Healy, which is what I love so much, is it's absolutely so many different options. And this, for me, means that we have a technology that we can use to awaken our potential. How many times have we heard that? The technology delivers frequencies to us just like sound systems deliver music. And it's deep and intricate shifts. But Healy doesn't have any bias. And that's what I love, because I work in the field of psychological resilience. When a client comes to see me and they talk to me about what's going on, I might make the assumption, oh, that's a childhood issue that's still resonating now. Healy does not have that bias. Healy looks mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually at what the client is most resonant with right now and delivers that level of frequencies to them. That's what I find absolutely amazing. So why is, for me, Healy the perfect answer for right now? Because collective consciousness at the moment is at the lowest level it's ever been. If you look at what's happening out there in the world, things like school shootings, I mean, really? Things like, how else is humanity going to evolve unless we look at our consciousness and the collective consciousness? So what I believe that Healy and vibrational medicine in its entirety offers is the opportunity to train our minds to support and nurture our health at all of the levels by using intention for ourselves and for others. I bought my Healy for me. It was all about me, and it was all about my family, my clients, my wider circle of network and connections, because it can help us all. Now, you might think, heavens above, Sam, that's plenty. Or you might think, well, I want to know more. And that's great. I've got 5 minutes left. And I'm literally going to give you 3 different ways that you can take this forward. This is my website, the Happiness Essence website. And there's the button at the bottom, the great big red arrow for a bioenergetics scan. Or you can just subscribe to the newsletter and look at our resources. You don't have to do anything else other than explore these ideas if that's what suits you right now. Happiness Essence, the website, is a great place to go. You can use, if you want to just take a quick screenshot of this page, here are 2 links. If you want to book your bioenergetics scan and not go through the Happiness Essence website, you can go straight onto my Calendly and do it there. And if you're the kind of person that thinks, actually, this is what I've been waiting for, I've been praying for something like this, you can even purchase your own Healy. So to give you the full information, let me show you really briefly 4 editions that there are of Healy, 4 editions available, and the offers that Healy has right now. If this is of no interest, I'm completely okay with you just going, that's not for me. But if I don't give you the information, then for those people who wanted it, I won't have done my full job. So there are September offers, and these are by region and they change each month. So I'm talking about the UK offers of a 50% off the Resonance Plus edition and a 35% off either the Professional, that's the top edition that I have, or the Resonance edition. So let me show you what that includes. You can see at the very bottom of this slide that there are the UK prices. Those are the prices with those discounts taken off already. So I'm not even going to talk about the holistic, the bottom edition, because the next one up, which is the Resonance edition, the one that has 35% off this month, that's cheaper already than the holistic edition, which doesn't have a special offer this month. The list of the programs that are included are shown there. And that £888, I'm saying dollars because I live in New Zealand, pound figure at the bottom includes a free coil. The coil is £210 by itself. So that's included in the Resonance edition. The Resonance Plus edition is the one that has 50% off, but that does not have the free coil. So if you wanted the coil, you would need to add that on. And the Pro version is definitely a more expensive, more significant investment. And that price there at the bottom of the column does include the coil and includes a wide range, 229 different programs in all of those program groupings that you can see there. So I'm giving you all the information in case this is a choice that you wish to make. The final piece of information to add in is that for some people, they want to understand how the investment can work even better for them. And that's to know that there is an income opportunity. So I'm adding it there for people who want to understand how they, like me, could talk to others about healing. But from my perspective, I'm bringing you back to your choices from this evening's presentation. Evening for me, morning for you, which is to explore vibrational medicine more, understand what frequency healing can offer. If you want to try it for yourself, book your scan. And if you do want to go further, that option is there too.